Hey guys, thank you again for tuning in to yet another episode of Advice Nobody Asked For. I want to apologize in advance for how disjointed this video is going to seem. Sometimes I make it a point to stop and talk about something and I will start rambling and recording, and the intention of these videos is to make a one take that is uninterrupted. However, they're a little bit inconsistent because sometimes you'll get 30 minutes of talk out of me, sometimes it'll be an hour, sometimes a subject I will either only have time to sit down and talk for like 15 minutes, or I just feel like I can get out what I want to say and it seems a little bit like a rambling run-on sentence, but just to present the thought and put it out there. This episode specifically is geared toward starting a discussion on radical truths, what that even is, how they can differ, how they affect us and the people around us, and the importance of not invalidating other people's truths to accept ours. And, you know, that just because your truth differs from somebody else's doesn't make it any less true to you. And so, in honor of authenticity and keeping this as raw as possible, I'm gonna do my best not to edit too much of it. But I did want to stop and put a pin in this discussion because I feel like it's more something that can be spoken about with more than just my voice and just my opinion on the situation. So I did make a note that I want to include this in the Porchcast. And the Porchcast, if you haven't heard of it yet, is something I'm working on that's a little bit more of a discussion with somebody else, an interview, and I'm right now looking for animators who might be interested in helping us because it is going to be something that I want to do as voiceover over animation, because I was very inspired by the way that Midnight Gospel did their show. I wanted to give an opportunity to one of my animator friends to come forward and listen to the things that we discuss on the Porchcast and to give their creative input on that, and to allow somebody to showcase their art over my podcast. So if you know anybody or you yourself might be interested, please reach out to me and send me your email. Also, if you're interested in being interviewed for a future Porchcast, or I touch on a subject that you feel like you might want to talk about, please make sure to reach out to me via Instagram, which I will leave in my bio to this video. Also, you can always just shoot me an email at my business email, which I will also include. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I hope that this message helps someone.
Flashback.
I wanted to make a point to talk about radical truth and sharing your radical truth and the effect that that has on you and others around you, the backlash that you may experience because of this, and to touch on the point that not everybody's truth is in alignment with yours, so there are blockages and barriers based on where a certain person is at in their journey that can create a different narrative from the one that we have. We all have different perspectives, and your truth may not align with somebody else's right now, but it should not discourage you from speaking your truth, because there's three sides to every story. There's your side, my side, and then somewhere in between there is the truth. And so in order to cross bridges instead of burning them, we have to hold space for the fact that people's perspectives may not always align with ours, and their perceptions of the situation may not always align with ours, but at the root of everything, the truth underlying the issue is usually the same. And so what I mean when I say this is, if you express that something someone has said or something that someone has done is hurting you, it doesn't make it any more or less true just because the narrative that they have placed over the circumstance and situation is not in alignment with yours. The root of it is that still some harm was done in the situation and you feel how you feel. The conclusions that you come to as far as how you're feeling can't be jeopardized just because you don't share the same perspective as the other person. And this is where accountability comes in, because if someone were to sit there and try and explain how their story is different from yours, it wouldn't make the core of the radical truth any different. You would still be hurt or negatively affected by this. And so this presents the question of how do we meet somebody halfway, and how do we find compromise in our communication and let all of the other outside factors and insecurities and the other things that are standing in the way of solutions in our communication to fall away. The importance in being persistent and speaking your radical truth aloud is that not everybody may resonate with it, but there are people that it will resonate for, and people who need to hear what it is that you have to say. And if you're walking on eggshells to not offend people who disagree with you, you're doing a disservice to yourself and others, because the people out there who really need to hear what it is you have to say will just go without hearing that. And you trigger change in other people when you speak the truth that maybe not everybody wants to hear. So I feel like it's a part of my purpose and a part of my duty to speak the things that make other people uncomfortable, that people don't want to hear and don't want to talk about, because I have a thick enough skin to speak through my tears. And if an argument arises, I'm able to sit with the discomfort and work through it with people. And some people won't, some people will shut down. But it's important for the people who can hold space for the discomfortable conversations to come forward and speak the truth that needs to be spoken, so that healing can happen. And healing is not an easy process, and it's not going to be painless. My foot is healing from a fracture, and it has been the most uncomfortable, painful, itchy, burning sensation ever. But I can't just shut down and sleep through the whole healing process. I have to continue to get up and move. I have to continue to stretch and exercise. And so the same thing needs to happen with our heart space and our head space. You have to continue to stretch and exercise, and how we do that is through communicating. And unfortunately, the more stagnance that people allow to happen because of the resistance that they're feeling, it just makes the situation more difficult, because the more you bottle shit up, the worse the communication comes out when it's finally time to talk about it. So I feel like if you have some discomfort arising, it's good to address it head on first thing instead of letting it fester. So I don't know who needs to hear this message, but please do yourself and others a favor and speak up about the things that are bothering you and that you feel like you need to talk about right now, no matter who it offends. Obviously try not to offend others, but you can only be so sensitive with your words, and you can only censor yourself so much. And at the end of the day, your truth is your own, and nobody else is going to give that perspective, and nobody else is going to be able to speak the words that you're going to speak. And it may hit home for some people, so just remember to be strong and continue to speak your truth, regardless of the people who try to silence you. I'm going to put a pin in this discussion, but remember that it's something I want to talk about on the Porchcast.
Many months later.
Thank you guys for watching. Love and light. I hope this message helps somebody, and have a penny out.
They tell me to walk on the right side, so I keep my vision on the bright side. You want me to walk on the left now, you need to feel hurt or you feel left out. I'm not the one or the two, sir, so I can't take orders from you, sir. What you can't teach, you can never learn, but I do.